World War I came to the Middle East in 1914, resulting in not only death and destruction but also permanent changes that still affect the region in modern times. This war changed the leadership of the Middle East and also created many of the countries we know and live in today. To get to this point, we must first look at the beginning of the war in this region. At this point in time, the Middle East was under the control of the Ottoman Empire. Even though the Ottomans were already in bad shape at the beginning of the war, its rulers decided to pick a side in an attempt to modernize the army, safeguard the empire, and expand its land. In 1914, they sided powers with the Central Powers, offering Germany safe passages into neighboring British territories. The Ottomans began to fight with the Allies for control over railroads, oil pipelines, and other strategic locations. In 1915, the Allies invaded Turkey in an attack known as the Gallipoli Campaign, resulting in heavy casualties for the French and British armies, forcing them to retreat. Though this invasion failed, it left the Allies even more determined to defeat the Ottoman Empire. Britain continued to fight for control over the Middle East, even signing a secret treaty in 1915 that granted Russia permission to annex Constantinople. This agreement was never implemented, but it was the beginning of the pattern in which Britain would use underhand tactics to interfere in the Middle East. Britain soon began making progress against the Ottoman Empire when they managed to reignite the Arab Revolt. Previous attempts at mobilizing local Arab populations against the Ottomans had gone nowhere, but in 1916 a British officer named Thomas Edward Lawrence was able to organize the revolt and encourage the Arab tribes to play a greater role. Lawrence, one of the most famous figures from World War I, succeeded because of his skills at strategizing and his ability to work with the Arabs. The Arab revolt continued to move north until 1918, when the Allies marched on Damascus and decisively defeated the Ottoman Empire. Britain and France had already prepared for this with treaties dictating the ownership of former Ottoman territories, even though the Arabs had been promised the opportunity to lead their own land. The Sykes-Picot Treaty was signed by British and French representatives Sir Mark Sykes and François-Georges Picot on May 19, 1960, with the approval of Russia. Under the treaty, France took over modern-day Lebanon and the Syrian coast, while Britain gained control over central and southern Mesopotamia. Britain and France even took measures to prevent Arab nationalism by taking control of strategic locations such as ports. Another treaty called the Balfour Declaration was created in 1917, establishing a Jewish state in Palestine. Both of these treaties angered the Arabs in the region when they were announced, and they seriously impacted the development and modern state of the Middle East. The creation of Israel resulted in notorious Arab-Israeli conflict, and the borders of Syria, which were drawn without much knowledge about the land or the people there, have always been the source of lots of conflicts. The borders of the Sykes-Picot Treaty have also contributed to issues between Iraq and Kuwait, and since the treaty ignored the Kurds completely, it also contributed to the problems between this group and their various host countries. Here in Lebanon, it can be argued that the French leadership established by the treaty is responsible for religious divides within the country due to France's attempt to turn Lebanon into a Christian state. Some historians have argued that the situation would have been worse if the Ottoman Empire had not been defeated. But either way, it can be agreed that the Sykes-Picot Treaty contributed to many issues in the Middle East today. In case of World War I in the Middle East, the relevance of history is very clear. These events have had a huge direct impact on World War I, modern state and politics, and many of the countries we call home.